You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
That's enough. That's enough. That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Excuse me, that's enough.
Mr. President, I have one other question, if I may ask, on the...
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Can President Trump ban reporters he doesn't like? Just what's at stake in CNN versus Donald J. Trump? And what do other news networks and journalists think? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC7 at 7. We'll have more on freedom of the press in a moment, but first, our top stories at 7. Locked in a razor-thin battle with Senator Bill Nelson and a recount to decide the winner, Governor Rick Scott is recusing himself from the certification of the final election results in Florida. The League of Women Voters and other groups filed a lawsuit accusing Scott of conflict of interest. They aim to stop the governor from being involved in any of the recount controversies. The plaintiffs also want Scott to not have any influence on the election canvassing process or use his authority to suspend election supervisors. Scott was in Washington today but ignored reporters' questions on the recount.
Governor Scott, do you still contend that there's fraud going on in Florida with this recount?
All right, everyone, thank you very much. That's it. Thanks, folks. That's it. Thank you. All right, thank you guys.
TV, go.
TV, folks, this is it.
All right, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Come on, guys.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Let's go.
A hearing is scheduled for tomorrow at 1 p.m. We are less than 24 hours away from a statewide deadline for all votes from last week's midterm elections to be recounted, but problems with voting machines are endangering the Palm Beach County midterm election recount. The deadline to retally all ballots is 3 p.m. tomorrow. Today, the county appeared to be making little progress in overcoming technical problems. Last night, the election supervisor told reporters more than 170,000 early votes had to be counted again. That's because of old, overheated machines didn't properly tally the ballots. Special technicians were flown in to fix the machines. Florida's 67 counties must recount more than 8 million statewide ballots. The accused Parkland shooter allegedly got into a fight with a jail guard and faces new charges tonight. According to the arrest report, Nicholas Cruz tackled and repeatedly punched a guard and took his stun gun, which discharged. The 20-year-old is awaiting trial on charges in the Valentine's Day mass shooting that killed 17 people at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. Now he also faces charges of assault and battery. One of the women involved in a fight at a school bus stop in Northport is under arrest. 32-year-old Leslie Argilius is now charged with aggravated battery. Police say after being physically confronted, the victim used a coffee mug to fight back, hitting Argilius in the head and neck. Argilius then allegedly used a broken piece of the mug as a weapon, cutting the victim. More than 24 students getting on the school bus witnessed the incident. If you have been good this year, you may get some extra presents this holiday season. The Florida Retail Federation expects a 4.5% increase in holiday shopping sales for 2018, with the average consumer expected to spend more than $1,000 over the next month and a half. That number would be an all-time record. The holiday season is the biggest time of year for stores, with many shops doing 20 to 40% of their annual business leading up to the holidays.
Florida's economy is extremely strong right now. High consumer confidence, hot housing market, a 10-year low unemployment rate, and one thing that continues to go overlooked is 120 million tourists, also known as 120 million extra shoppers to Florida.
The Retail Federation says 2018 sales forecasts would have been even higher if not for the impact of Hurricane Michael, which left many Floridians with less buying power this holiday season. So now let's head over to ABC7's chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the first forecast. Bob.
Alan, it's not hurricanes, but a mid-latitude cyclone and a low pressure developing in the Gulf of Mexico, which is going to change our weather drastically. We're talking jackets and sweaters in the mornings, at least, both on Friday and Saturday, when low temperatures will be into the upper 40s to low 50s, especially on Saturday morning. Here's the one low pressure area bringing snowfall now into Tennessee and Kentucky. A secondary low is developing here in the Gulf of Mexico. Both are tracking to the northeast. Going to cause big headaches for travelers over the northeast United States and throughout the mid-Atlantic coast states over the upcoming 48 hours. And it looks as though we'll see much cooler temperatures sliding in here. Now, we have a line of intense storms developing east of I-75. Those are pushing off to the north. This is a low pressure area developing rather intense storms out there too. See a little rotation, a little meso low trying to spin up there. This is going to head off to the northeast. We're going to get some of that rainfall here throughout the overnight hours. Now, these storms are basically now moving to the north. They had been moving off to the west-northwest, but now with a northerly push, we don't expect that to enter into the coast. However, there are some outflow boundaries here, and you'll notice that that outflow boundary is heading west, and so there'll be showers developing along it. So a good chance for some rain scattered about through this evening and a few thunderstorms as well with some heavy downpours. In fact, get a look at this. The rainfall rate with some of these storms now moving through Manatee County up past 2 inches per hour. Again, those are estimates from the Doppler radar site, but again, showing that 2.38 inches per hour over the northern sections of Manatee County. So the weather headlines read like this: overnight rain, showers and a few storms, windy and turning cooler for Thursday. It'll be cloudy too. Temperatures will maintain right in the low 70s throughout the day, and a nice weekend ahead. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures in the mid-70s for highs both on Saturday and Sunday. Well, much more in the forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Alan?
Bob, thank you. You think Jim Acosta was the first reporter to rattle a president's chains? Bet a lot of you are old enough to remember at the news conference during Watergate when President Nixon asked Dan Rather, "Are you running for something?" And Rather responded, "No, sir, Mr. President, are you?" Sam Donaldson was a thorn to presidents, both Democrat and Republican alike. He tells a story of touring an open manure pit in India with President Carter. "Sir, if I fell in there, would you pull me out?" Donaldson asked the president. "Certainly, Sam." After a suitable interval, Carter responded. Ask both Obama, both Bushes, both Clintons for that matter, whether they believe the press corps has always been fair to them, and you'd get a big bipartisan no. But none of them revoked a reporter's credentials. And joining us for more are Sam Roberts, the former national editor of CBS News, State Representative Julio Gonzalez, and joining us by Skype from Washington is Jim Williams, Washington Bureau Chief for Fox News, for News Talk Florida, But first, with tonight's poll question, let's go to ABC7 digital producer Chloe Conboy. Chloe.
Alan, today I asked the following question to our viewers on Facebook. Should the White House or president be able to dictate which journalists are allowed to attend White House press events? The poll has over 1,500 votes and about 90 comments. Be sure to cast your vote before the end of the show and share some of your comments with us. Coming up later, I will share some of the Facebook comments with you and reveal the final poll results. Alan, back to you.
Chloe, thank you very much. And we should tell viewers, Sam, welcome to the show. Sam was my boss at CBS News a long time ago when I was a desk assistant on the national assignment desk. Sam, you were the national editor when I was there, which means you were not only my boss, you were the boss of CBS's White House correspondents. And I'm really interested in what your take is about this controversy, not big picture, but also what Jim Acosta actually did.
Well, you mentioned the Dan Rather incident. That was, about 73 or so. At that time, I was a producer on the evening news and, working stiff. But many of us, myself included, thought Dan had gone over the line with that. And what happened, it was at a convention of the National Association of Broadcasters. And Nixon had a news conference with all these broadcasting executives there. And Dan introduced himself, as was the custom in those days. Introduce yourself before you ask a question of the president. And he said, Dan Rather, CBS News, Mr. President. And he got a great deal of applause. And that prompted Nixon's, are you running for something? And Dan said, as you said, no, sir, are you? I thought he went over the line. But Nixon never, the Nixon people who hated Rather, and there's some evidence that even the plumbers went after Nixon, Rather during Watergate, they never considered to any appreciable degree the idea of banning Dan Rather from White House coverage.
And Julio, I want to ask you about that because, that's true. Back in those days, the tension between the White House and the press corps was as even more incredible than it is today. But what's your take on Jim Acosta, what he did, and the bigger picture of whether he should have been suspended?
Well, I'll tell you what Dan Rather didn't do. Dan Rather did not refuse to hand over the mic when he was asked to hand over the mic. And so I think that one of the questions that you asked at your introduction was whether the president can remove somebody because he doesn't like that reporter. The answer to that question is absolutely no, or at least he shouldn't. But what I saw in this event was a reporter that got belligerent, was not responding to the president's repeated firm requests to hand over the mic, and resisted a staffer in so doing.
Let's take one more look at that actual incident. I think we have it.
That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country, you run CNN, and if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough, that's enough.
Mr. President,
That's enough.
ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Excuse me, that's enough.
Mr. President, I have one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have
I'm not concerned
indictments-
about anything with
you
the
may have
Russian
indictments coming
investigation because it's a hoax. That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down?
That was the incident from last week. I want to bring Jim Williams in. Jim, you have also been a White House correspondent, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, during the Clinton administration. What was your take?
I think at the end of the day, like Sam had said and Julio had said, I don't think he should, he meaning the president, should be able to pick and choose who he wants in the press corps. Part and parcel, if you've followed this situation between Jim Acosta and President Trump, is, there's been an ongoing thing where from the rallies to each press conference, Acosta has been, in many regards, Trump's foil. And they've had these back and forths on many occasions. So there is, I think the president in some ways draws from his, I'm not going to say dislike, but certainly his slight disdain, if you will, for how Jim Acosta does it. But at the end of the day, I don't think what Jim did was worthy of getting his credential pulled.
We have to take a quick break. We'll have much more on freedom of the press in a moment, so stay with us.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
It's year-end clearance time at every Ghetto location. Over 3,000 new vehicles, over 1,000 used vehicles on clearance right now at Ghetto.com. And Ghetto Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Get credit help, fast cash for your car, and year-end clearance prices right now at a Ghetto dealership near you. Ghetto's got it. At Ghetto.com.
Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News.
How a smartphone app could save your life if you're having a heart attack in Health Smart.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you. Get local news and information from the team you trust. Like ABC7 WWSB on Facebook to stay connected to the Suncoast.
Welcome back. We are talking about CNN's lawsuit against the president and White House after the press credentials of Chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta was suspended indefinitely. And joining us for more are Sam Roberts, the former national editor of CBS News, State Representative Julio Gonzalez, and joining us by Skype from Washington is Jim Williams, Washington Bureau Chief for News Talk Florida. So we were talking during the break, and Julio, one of the questions I wanted to ask to you is the White House explanation for this has shifted. Right. In the days after, they said it was because Acosta touched the intern trying to take the mic away. Now in court today, they argued that he was disruptive, and the president has the prerogative of deciding who is there and who is not.
Correct, and I think today's briefing, the language has changed into something that's more legalese and more consistent with prior court's opinion in order to play off the court's languages. But, you know, I remember Dan Rather when we've been talking a lot about the Dan Rather.
You're that old too?
Yeah, I'm old enough to have read his book as it came out. And I remember Dan Rather talked about the control the president has of the White House press conferences. He had complete control. He had a chart. He had a map. He knew exactly who was going to ask kind of what. You don't know exactly what he's going to ask, but you knew the topics. And he would direct the forum. And for the president to make the argument that the president can now be subverted in not being able to direct the flow on the conduct of a White House press conference, I think flies in the face of tradition.
You know, Sam, we were talking during the break. I was watching Helen Thomas today, her greatest hits. If people remember her, the great UPI reporter, she gave a hard time to every president from Obama to Kennedy. Some of them are really tough questions. I remember Obama didn't even want to take her questions for a good long time. But your position is that comes with the territory.
Well, it should come with the territory. The White House has absolutely the right to limit a reporter's access in terms of security or just available space in the room. And that's why we have pools in the White House, right? Where everybody shares the pictures coming out of one camera that's allowed in. That's fine. That's part of the territory. But to single out a reporter because you don't like them, that doesn't happen. And I got to tell you that the only time that we ever worried about that sort of thing happening with a reporter was in dealings with foreign governments that were totalitarian governments.
But I got to say, Bob Woodward, the great Watergate reporter, just made comments that basically said that the situation should result in more reporters actually doing more reporting and not, what Acosta is doing, which is making himself the center of the story. I mean, has there been an element of that?
Well, I personally have no use for what I see on the 24-hour channels, and I'm talking about all three of them. They don't cover the news, they talk about the news. And that's part of the reason why a guy becomes the story. It's in the nature of the beast. I hate watching television news now because of that. Right. Live coverage. We're getting off the topic here of Acosta.
And I want to get to that.
Okay.
I also want to bring Jim Williams in here. And Jim, again, as somebody who used to cover the White House, Bob Woodward's criticism is that Jim Acosta has made himself the story instead of just covering the story.
I would never contradict Bob Woodward. One of the reasons I got in this business. But I think Bob, in the situation of what happened with Acosta, right? There is a process, and Sam, I'm sure, knows this, that if they felt that Acosta was out of line, there is a grievance process by which Sarah Sanders could have filed a report with the White House Press Corps Association, and they could have handled it in that manner. And that's happened numerous times. So they had a recourse to go rather than pulling his credential. Obviously, I read what Bob said, and he's entitled to his opinion. I don't particularly agree with him in this point.
Okay. Our conversation on the freedom of the press continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Well, interesting conversation you're having right there. What interesting is that the weather's going to be changing big time, so grab your jackets, grab your sweaters. You're going to need them, not so much tomorrow, but especially on Friday morning, Saturday morning, low temperatures, low 50s. We haven't seen that in a while, so again, we're expecting showers and even a few thunderstorms during the late night hours and during the early morning hours on Thursday as a result of a double-barreled low-pressure areas. Actually, one here and one here. They're going to move up along the eastern seaboard and cause all sorts of headaches for travelers tomorrow and on in through, it looks like, Friday as it works its way to the northeast United States. But for us, we're going to see colder air moving on in after a pretty warm fall thus far. It's going to feel more like winter, I think, on Friday, with highs only getting up into the upper 60s in places, and a bit of a wind too will make it feel colder. You can see an intense line of storms developing off in the Gulf. Right now it appears that all the rough weather will stay offshore. However, we have had some pretty heavy storms developing now as a result of the daytime heating today. Upper 80s, that was the high today, 89 degrees at the Sarasota Bradenton Airport. That actually tied a record high temperature for today. Two record highs this week thus far, but we can say goodbye to the 80s for a while as a result of, again, this colder air filtering in behind this area of low pressure where it's rather intense out there. Lots of lightning, heavy rainfall there. And in North Manatee County, the rainfall rates up to 2 inches an hour. It's not sticking around for an hour, so we're not going to see that kind of rainfall total, but just gives you an indication how heavy the downpours have been now near Duet and now into Arcadia as well. Not much in Northport. All of it's kind of offshore, but we're watching this boundary right here. This boundary is an outflow boundary which will travel off to the west-northwest and could kick off some other showers west of I-75. We are definitely going to see some rainfall late tonight and tomorrow morning. It doesn't appear that we're going to see the strong to severe storms. The dynamics just aren't there right now, but we'll keep an eye on it nonetheless. There's one low and another one right there. They're going to kind of move up along the Mid-Atlantic coast states and cause all sorts of headaches for some heavy snowfall there. Also into Ohio, look at kind of a mix of rain, snow, freezing rain, and into Michigan as well, mainly snowfall. And then another little clipper system comes down and brings another dusting of snow on into Saturday across parts of the Great Lakes. Now for us, we're going to see high pressure build in. Should be a delightful weekend ahead as a result of that high pressure ridge building in. Lots of sunshine for Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures tomorrow will start off in the low 70s. That's warm or well above average, and we'll pretty much stay right there. We're not going to really warm up too much, and then we'll start to go down in the afternoon where typically our temperatures have been going up. That's a result of that north wind which will be in play. Lows to start the morning off will be in the low 70s. We'll warm up tomorrow, as I said, only into the low 70s, but look at the cooler temperatures over the Panhandle. 40 degrees at 10 o'clock in the morning over Pensacola. For boaters tomorrow, not the best boating weather either. Small craft advisories will be in effect. Rip current advisories for area beaches. And looks like the water temperature now at 80 degrees will go down into the mid-70s by, it looks like, I would say Sunday or Monday. The extended forecast. Slight chance for showers tomorrow morning after sunrise. That'll be at around 20% as the actual cold front moves on through. There's the low, 52 on Friday, high of only 70 on Friday, and then 75 and 76 respectively over the weekend. Looks to be pretty mild as far as that goes. Al will be back with his guests right after this. Stick around.
Since 1847, the Grand Hotel has earned a worldwide reputation for elegance and hospitality. Now the Grand has been transformed with reimagined rooms and suites and exceptional fine dining and meeting spaces. The spa is more luxurious, and championship golf will test your game, all overlooking beautiful Mobile Bay. The Grand Hotel Golf Resort and Spa. Timeless elegance transformed. For reservations, visit grand1847.com.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Xfinity XFi, a more powerful way to stay connected. It gives you super fast speeds for all your devices, enhanced coverage, and lets you control your network with the XFi app. It's the ultimate Wi-Fi experience. Xfinity XFi. Simple, easy, awesome.
Get started with Xfinity Internet for just $29.99 a month for 12 months. Plus, ask about XFi pods for even more coverage. Click, call, or visit a store today.
Want to know a secret? If you're looking for the best selection of area rugs at an unbelievable price, the only place you need to look is Rugs is Art. I know what you're thinking. Expensive, right? Wrong. Rugs is Art has the largest selection of area rugs on the west coast of Florida in a variety of styles, with 8x11 area rugs starting at $199. Largest selection, personalized service, and unbelievably low prices. You'll find it all at Rugs is Art.
Rugs as Art, Sarasota's only area rug superstore.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Welcome back. We are talking about CNN's lawsuit against the president and White House after the press credentials of Chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta were suspended indefinitely. And joining us for more are Sam Roberts, the former national editor of CBS News, State Representative Julio Gonzalez, and joining us by Skype from Washington is Jim Williams, bureau chief for News Talk Florida. But first, tonight's poll question. And here's ABC7 digital producer Chloe Conboy. Chloe.
Thank you, Alan. Earlier tonight, we asked our Facebook viewers, should the White House or president be able to dictate which journalists are allowed to attend White House press events? We've had tons of comments on our Facebook poll, and here's what some of you had to say. June says, absolutely rude jerks should be banned, and there are more who should be gone. They are not there to make news. They are there to find out what is happening. They are there to advance their own agenda. On the other hand, Jonathan says, so let me get this straight. A reporter asks a question about a statement that was made by the president, using a president's wording verbatim, and the reporter is called rude and the press pass is revoked. Isn't that journalism 101? I vote no. Coming up later, I will reveal the final poll results. Alan, back to you.
Chloe, thank you. We are just getting warmed up. Our conversation about freedom of the press will continue with our guests after a quick break, so stay with us.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Introducing the ABC7 First Alert Weather Tracker. This This all-new mobile weather lab is just one more way. The team you trust is keeping you ahead of the storms. The ABC7 First Alert Weather Tracker, sponsored by Mr. Sparky, America's on-time electrician.
Women have shed their blood in defense of America since the dawn of the Republic.
These were the women who first saw poison gas.
Their sacrifices are profound.
Women are in combat.
And their noble accomplishments largely ignored.
The giant fireball landed in my lap and I was hit by an RPG.
Unsung Heroes, the story of America's female patriots.
Gender has nothing to do with it. If you can do it, do it.
An inspiring saga of perseverance and triumph.
Sunday at 10 on ABC7.
Celebrate New Year's Eve at the Van Wezel. Madison's presents the Sweet Caroline Tour, a Neil Diamond concert celebration starring the #1 Neil Diamond performer in the world, Jay White. Proceeds benefit Sarasota's Parkinson Place and the Parkinson Research Foundation in their first ever community fundraiser. Individual tickets and full access VIP packages available now at vanwezel.org. Spaces limited. That's vanwezel.org.
So I kind of grew up all across the country. I come from 5 generations of military men. My dad is still active duty. My grandpa is retired Marines. I like going for runs with my dog. I love, taking her out to the dog beach over in Venice. There are so many things here to do on the Suncoast. My goal every day when I come into work at ABC7 is to tell your stories, give you that major local news and those details that you really care about. I'm Jacqueline Matter and I'm here for you.
Being empowered starts with getting informed, looking closer. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. But many of us don't know there are different types of breast cancer with different characteristics. That was me. Learning about the specifics of my diagnosis gave me the confidence to make informed treatment decisions with my doctor. This meant everything to me and my family. So take another look. Ask another question. Learn more at notonetype.org.
Download the all-new ABC7 First Alert Weather app now. You're watching ABC7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back. We are talking about CNN's lawsuit against the president and White House after the press credentials of Chief White House correspondent Jim Acosta were suspended indefinitely. Joining us for more are Sam Roberts, the former national editor of CBS News, State Representative Julio Gonzalez, and joining us by Skype, Jim Williams, Washington Bureau Chief for News Talk Florida. And we should note that Julio, you're not only an orthopedic surgeon, but you are also an attorney. So let's talk about the legal case that went to court today. The judge is going to make some kind of ruling tomorrow. This is what CNN's attorney had to say earlier today.
And it's really a classic First Amendment viewpoint content-based discrimination against speech, and we can't have the White House or government officials arbitrarily tossing people out of the White House or other government facilities just because they don't like what they're saying or what they're reporting. That's what happened here. That violates the First Amendment. So
Julio, comment to that. Can a president or a White House pick which reporters are allowed to cover them?
Well, they do. They do all the time because by virtue of the fact that there's 2,000 or so reporters that have access to the White House have had that hard pass, and they have to pick 50. And then within that 50, they have to pick which reporter is the one that's going to be given the opportunity to ask a question and when the president moves to the next reporter. I think the question of a First Amendment right here is kind of hollow because the ability to report is not being inhibited. The ability to voice an opinion is not being inhibited. But the president has sole discretion, essentially, to decide how he's going to run a meeting. And if somebody gets disruptive in that matter, I think he's going to have sole discretion to castigate him.
Sam.
But that doesn't speak to the issue of revoking his credentials to go into the White House altogether, which is the real issue here. I'm not a lawyer. I knew Floyd Abrams when I was in New York, the foremost First Amendment lawyer and probably in the history of the country. He says CNN's got a great case here. So I'll defer to him on that. But I would also defer to Jim about the procedures of how people get into that White House news conference. And the reason I ask that is because about 10 years ago, it must have been during Obama, maybe it was George W. Bush, they went through the list of all of those people who had White House credentials, and there were a lot of people who didn't deserve them, and they were weeded out. I could tell you a couple stories that I personally know about of people who just didn't deserve to have White House press credentials, and they'd go along on the foreign trips and they'd go traveling and all that stuff, but they weren't real journalists. My point here is, sure, the White House does have some authority over who sits in that room, but there are long-standing customs in that room. Who sits in which chair? Who asks the first question? For years and years and years, it used to be the Associated Press person did.
Jim, let me ask you this, because there were stories that during the Obama presidency, initially he did not want Fox in the room, and organizations like CNN and the other networks weighed in and said, you have to. Back in the days when CNN first came into the picture, the broadcast networks tried to keep CNN out of the White House press office. But they went to court then, and a federal court ruled that you have to allow them in. So this is not totally new territory, is it not?
No, you're absolutely right. To Sam's point, with regard to how it gets done, there's a give and take between the White House Press Association. They're the folks who you have to apply to them first before you can actually get a credential. In my case, I was the first blogger actually working for Prodigy at that time. Prodigy was an online service. You remember AOL, Prodigy, and such. They granted me, after 3 different attempts, the opportunity to be one of the first bloggers, if you will, to be involved in there. I didn't, Helen Thomas at that point in time always got the first question. There wasn't any question about it. Sam was absolutely right. There's a pecking order. There's assigned seats. And so the White House Correspondents Association, along with the press shop at the White House, no matter who the president is, does go over the list and decide who gets what. And they did call a lot of people out of there who no longer really deserved it. And one final point to your point on Fox and the Obama situation. He didn't pull the credential, he just didn't ask him questions. So CNN and MSNBC and a number of other news outlets went to the press shop and said, look, come on. These people are trying to do their job, and let them ask questions, and for God's sake, answer them. So there is a collegiality among the people within the White House press corps, and hopefully, there's a goal that everybody's working in the same direction.
I want to return to the point that Bob Woodward was making in that interview, Sam, that he's basically saying that there's more talk going on in terms of White House coverage and the pundits you see on the other networks, rather than actual reporting. And if there's any kind of criticism of places like CNN, NBC, and even Fox, is they don't break the big stories about Russia or whatever. They take the reporters from the New York Times or the Washington Post to come in, let them tell them what they uncovered, and then they just talk about it for hours. And is that part of the basic problem here?
It's the basic problem. Reporting is expensive. I worked for the New York Times for 3 years after I left CBS, and I was absolutely astonished to find that the New York Times thought nothing of detaching a reporter or more than one reporter to work on a particular story for months at a time with nothing in the paper. Just keep working. There was one that was going on when I joined the Times, had been going on for a year. 3 reporters detached to do nothing but this story. Well, there's nobody who can match the New York Times for that, that kind of thing, and television can't do it.
And Julio, the question, the question would be, reporters who cover this president and who may have also been covering Obama or Clinton or George W. Bush or Clinton before that, have perspective of the differences between the administrations and the actual people who are president. Shouldn't that be part of the context in terms of covering this president, who is so different than his predecessors?
Well, I think it's up to part of the responsibility of the reporter is to get to know his or her subject and accommodate to the different varying personalities. So I think, yeah, it does come into the discussion. But I want to just mention one point, and that is that, look, we keep talking about how to get into the White House, to the press conferences. But really, this discussion that we're having right now is how you get excused out. And although a lot of the rules may apply, and Jim Williams mentioned some about a procedure, that procedure is informal. And the question really is, does the president, when somebody becomes unruly and bluntly and grotesquely disobeys a directive from the president to continue the flow of the meeting, can the president remove those credentials?
Let's take a break. Let's go right now to a final check on tonight's Facebook question with ABC7 digital producer Chloe Conboy. Chloe.
Alan, tonight we asked our Facebook viewers, should the White House or president be able to dictate which journalists are allowed to attend White House press events? We had a total of 1,600 votes and over 90 comments. 53% of you said no, the White House or president should not be able to dictate which journalists are allowed to attend White House press events. And 47% of you said yes, the White House or president should dictate which journalists are allowed to attend these events. Alan, back to you.
All right, Chloe, thank you. We're going to be back for final thoughts in just a moment, so stay with us.
Happy Honda Days are here, and you're gonna like the holiday clearance savings. Save on the Accord, on sale for just $249 a month. That's the North American car of the year for less than the competition. Our most impressive Honda ever, on clearance for only $249 a month, loaded with more options, including a turbocharged engine and Honda Sensing. Do not miss these Honda clearance savings this week at your local Honda dealer.
There are lots of people who are confused about which Medicare plan is right for them.
Hey, that's me. I barely know where to start.
Well, start here with me, Karen. I'm a licensed Humana sales agent.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Karen. I'm John Smith.
Hi, John. At Humana, we know you're unique, so you have different needs from other John Smiths.
Yeah, I've always thought so.
And together, we can find a plan that's right for you.
Great. I go to the doctor a couple of times a year, and I have some prescriptions, but I'm never fully sure of what's covered and what's not.
With Humana's all-in-one Medicare Advantage plans, you get coverage for hospital stays, doctor visits, and Part D prescription drug benefits, all for an affordable and sometimes no monthly plan premium.
Do you have any more information?
Sure. I'll get a decision guide in the mail to you today. They're free.
Finally, someone who understands the real me.
Your health and happiness is important to us. Call or go online now to get your free decision guide. Call a licensed Humana sales agent today.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
Many websites selling medication may look professional and legitimate, but the vast majority of sites selling prescription drugs are doing so illegally. Criminals use websites to sell counterfeit medications that may contain life-threatening toxins. Dot Pharmacy is a website verification program that helps you identify safe and trustworthy online pharmacies. Purchasing medicine online can be safe and easy. Just look for pharmacy to the right of the dot in website addresses.
Our guest joins us right now for final thoughts. And Jim, we're going to start with you in Washington. You're not a lawyer, but you've been a longtime observer of what happens in that town and what happens at the White House. Any predictions on how this is going to turn out?
I think CNN wins. I think Ted Olson, who is their attorney, is a solid guy. I think that they'll come away the winner. And one last thing, and that's to Sam. Sam, you got to be proud of CBSN. It's an outstanding operation. It's a streaming service, and if you just want to see news when you're not watching ABC7, which you should be doing, but when you're not watching ABC7, watch CBSN. It's a streaming service. It's all news. It's like an old CNN, just the news all the time.
Absolutely. But Jim brings up a good point, Julio. The CNN hired Ted Olson. I mean, we know Ted Olson in Florida. He represented George W. Bush during the Florida recount. This is one of the foremost constitutional attorneys in the country, and he believes CNN has a good case.
I obviously he does because he took the case. But I got to tell you, if you look at the quality of the two write-ups, the write-ups of the House staff is vastly superior to the writing of the plaintiff. But I want to say one thing. I want to take off my hat of being the editor of the Federalist Pages, and I want to take off my hat of being a lawyer and want to argue every point, to just say I'm totally honored to be part of this panel today. You have an incredible panel, and you had to be with Sam Roberts and Jim Williams is something else, and the discussion has just been superb.
You can see he's a politician.
I appreciate it.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Well, thank you very much. And Sam, how would you sum this up in terms of what is at stake here?
At stake is freedom of the press and the First Amendment. And I mean, it's just as simple as that. If Acosta remains banned from the White House, this is an encroachment on freedom of the press. Period. End of story. It's going to be Acosta today. It's going to be you tomorrow. It's going to be me the next day. Anytime somebody doesn't like a reporter and gets him banned from doing his job, it's an encroachment on the free press.
All right, gentlemen, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much. We want to thank our guest, Sam Roberts, the former national editor of CBS News, State Representative Julio Gonzalez, and joining us by Skype, Jim Williams, Washington Bureau Chief for News Talk Florida. When we return, is President Trump going to make some more changes in his administration? But right now, let's get the final check on our First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Great discussion tonight, and also a great poll question, too, by Chloe Comboy. She did a wonderful job there, and you still have a chance to chime in, too, on our Facebook page as well. And we have a lot of rain coming our way and a lot of cold air coming our way, too. And there's some discussion on my Facebook page on whether that's good or bad. Do you like the colder air? I'll tell you, my electric bill will. This is an area of low pressure right here that's going to track off to the northeast and eventually cause all sorts of headaches for travelers tomorrow along the Mid-Atlantic coast states and the northeast United States. This intense line of storms mainly to the west of us right now, moving off to the north, but there's another line that has developed east of I-75, and those are moving off basically due north now. So there's not a lot of progression toward the coast. I expect some of these showers to fill in here later on this evening during the morning hours, and we could see some thunderstorms too. So we'll keep an eye on that. Right now, rain heavy near Arcadia and into southern portions of DeSoto County. This one now into Hillsborough County along I-75. There's that heavy rain I mentioned into and around Arcadia, and the rain here continuing to head off north toward Bloomingdale and eventually toward New Tampa. Now, as far as we're concerned, we're going to see showers and storms developing late tonight, tomorrow morning, and then by sunrise, I think most of the heavy rain will be over. Whatever heavy rain we see, we'll see some light rain showers around. There's that nor'easter developing on in through Friday, and then continuing up the northeast United States. Behind it, there's some cold air, and we're talking temperatures to be more like December and January as opposed to mid-November for us on Friday and Saturday. See another clipper system coming down and bringing some snowfall into Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. That quickly slips off to the east as well. For us, we'll watch this area of disturbed weather. This is next week. Again, for Black Friday, could be a little bit wet depending on how fast that system moves off to the east. Now, as far as our forecast is concerned, we are looking at hourly planner tomorrow. Temperatures staying fairly steady throughout the day. In fact, falling somewhat in the afternoon as those winds switch around to the north and northwest, and it will be a windy, gusty day with gusts as high as 25 miles an hour in the afternoon. It will cool things off, so get ready for that. As far as the 80s go, we can say goodbye to those after the next hour or so. Temperatures will be below that 80-degree threshold, and don't expect to see them next week. Temperatures will be in the 70s, I think, for the most part. Look at this. Current temperature in Pensacola, that's what we're up against. 44 degrees now in Pensacola. It's not going to be that cold, but that cool air will eventually work its way down in our direction beginning tomorrow night. Well, at 4 a.m., temperature is 72 degrees, and by 7 a.m., it actually warms up a little bit, 76. And notice as we go through time during the day, that cold air just sinks southward Temperatures will be at 3 o'clock at 68 degrees. And then to start things off on Friday morning, we're talking in the 30s over parts of the panhandle of Florida. We'll be in the low 50s on Friday morning, warming up only into the upper 60s in the afternoon. So yes, indeed, things are chilling out here. And good news on this tropical system. We were watching it earlier this week. There's no chance of it developing now as a result of some strong upper level winds that are moving through the Caribbean, and that has no chance of causing any significant problems down the road. Now, boating, be careful out there. Small craft advisory in effect for the waters on Thursday, and seas will be building 4 to 6 feet. By the way, by the weekend, the seas and winds will come down, so boating will be okay. 72 for a high on area beaches. Rip currents will be a big concern as well for area beaches tomorrow. So chilly weather, cool temperatures. It will be mild over the weekend. Once we get after Saturday morning, temperatures in the low 50s will warm up into the mid 70s by Saturday, and Sunday looking pretty nice too, and staying in the 70s all week next week. Alan will be right back after this. Stick around.
It's year-end clearance time at every Gettle location. Over 3,000 new vehicles, over 1,000 used vehicles on clearance right now at Gettle.com. And Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Get credit help, fast cash for your car, and year-end clearance prices right now at a Gettle dealership near you. Gettle's got it. At Gettle.com.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000. Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
Planning a Carnival Fantasy Cruise out of Mobile? Then check out the park and cruise packages at the luxurious Battle House and Renaissance Riverview Plaza hotels. Stay at the Battle House for $169 per night, or the Riverview Plaza for just $149 per night, and leave your car for the duration of your cruise. Includes transportation to and from the cruise terminal. If you're cruising out of Mobile, come stay with us. Call 1-800-MARRIOTT or visit Marriott.com now.
For more than 100 years, American Humane Association has been teaching kids to be kind to animals. Those in our homes, on the farms, on the silver screen, and wildlife conservation, caring for the world's vanishing creatures. But we can't do it alone. Visit kindness100.org to find ways to teach kids how they can make a more caring, compassionate, and humane world for all of us.
Tomorrow at 9 on Suncoast View.
I'm Linda Carson. On Suncoast View, film star Stephen Lang brings his show to the Van Wezel. We get a lesson in wood carving and gingerbread houses in the kitchen.
Tomorrow at 9 on Suncoast View.
Hey there, I'm P. Allen Smith. Join me Saturdays and Sundays on ABC7.
Checking primetime headlines now that the midterms are coming to an end. President Trump is getting close to firing members of his administration. ABC's Karen Travers has more.
President Trump built a reputation on his reality television show for being quick and eager to fire people. But when it comes to his cabinet and White House staff, he tends to take his time. Another cabinet secretary left twisting in the wind. President Trump said in an interview with the Daily Caller Wednesday he'll make a decision about Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen shortly, saying, quote, "I'm looking at things. I haven't made a decision yet." Sources say the president is once again discussing Chief of Staff John Kelly's job status, just months after requesting Kelly stay on through 2020. Asked by the Daily Caller about Nielsen and Kelly, the president said all administrations go through changes after a midterm election, and he's looking at, quote, "a lot of options." One person who is still on the job, Deputy National Security Advisor Mira Ricardel. In a rare and surprising public statement Tuesday, First Lady Melania Trump's office said Ricardel, quote, "no longer deserves the honor of serving in this White House." White House sources tell ABC News the First Lady became irritated with Ricardel over the planning of her Africa trip last month, and she felt Ricardel treated her staff with disrespect. Up until now, the First Lady hasn't weighed in publicly on staff drama, but she made it clear in an interview with ABC's Tom Yamas last month there were people on the president's team she did not trust.
I let him know.
And what did he do?
Well, some people, they don't work there anymore.
There have been reports this week of tension between the First Lady and John Kelly, but Mrs. Trump's office dismissed it and said they share a positive relationship. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
The Justice Department is releasing a 20-page memo justifying the appointment of Matt Whitaker as acting Attorney General. It offers the department's legal basis for Whitaker's right to lead the DOJ. The memo comes a day after a Maryland state official challenged Whitaker's appointment, arguing President Trump wrongfully bypassed the Constitution when appointing Whitaker to replace Jeff Sessions. They also claimed Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is Sessions' rightful successor under the law. But the DOJ memo says Whitaker's appointment is consistent with the Constitution, federal statutes, and precedent. A week after the midterm elections, the incoming group of new House members posed for their class picture in Washington today, including Congressman-elect Greg Steube. They're in D.C. for their pre-freshman orientation. There is noticeable diversity among the new Democratic members of the 116th Congress, but not so much among the Republicans. A record number of women, 114, have been elected so far, and a record number of women of color, 40. However, 10 races have not been officially called yet. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us.